What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we are jumping in with more Destiny 2 updates. Of course, this week, Arms Week went live. It's nothing to do with arms, however, it is to do with hand cannons. Where speaking of arms, apparently 1-2 punch on the new Arms Week hand cannon is only half as strong as the original version. We'll talk about a few things related to Arms Week and being able to actually rank up in the event. Otherwise, Bungie give updates regarding the next patch that we'll get for Destiny 2, some new changes they'll be bringing in. We'll talk about a new armor set as well, which has an appearance that doesn't appear in-game. On top of that, Bungie have released some new content on Kepler, which we didn't even know existed, as well as a few other items to talk about today. So if you guys find the video helpful, be sure to get subscribed, but otherwise, let's get into it. Firstly, some quick updates. Bungie say, due to an issue where the appearance for the Black Letter Warlock armor was not appearing in-game, we've temporarily removed the ability for Warlocks to purchase the set, as well as temporarily changing the set's appearance for players who've already acquired and equipped the ornaments. They will ultimately fix this, then re-enable the purchase option. The wording there just cracked me up though. The appearance for the Black Letter Warlock armor is not appearing. Basically, the armor set was making players invisible. You can imagine the kind of fun that would be in PvP, so Bungie have disabled it. Speaking of Eververse, the D2 team also said, sorry for the pop-up spam at reset, there was a scheduling error and we're working on a fix. And then in the patch yesterday, Bungie said in the Solo Ops Quick Play playlist, the return to orbit prompt during post-activity has been changed to continue to more accurately describe its behavior. Players point out though, we still have to load into the next ops mission to actually return to orbit, so not really a fix. DMG said though, they are working on a fix to get you an exit from Solo Ops. Insert uninstall Destiny 2 joke. Other updates though, Bungie said Ikora's final Kepler side quest, Declassification, is now available to complete along with Kepler Tasks Triumph. This quest was held back at launch due to an issue, but it has now been resolved. So Kepler finally got some new content after a couple of weeks. The sad part is I was actually excited to see that pop up on the Kepler map. Yes, a piece of non-portal content, literally anything. Let's go. Otherwise, Bungie announced yesterday that they'll be adjusting a bunch of difficulty elements inside of raids, so combatant difficulty for normal and master legacy raids will be reduced by 10 power. The same will actually apply in the Desert Perpetual, and the combined mastery triumph will only require a single completion, which will upgrade gear rewards by 1 tier depending on the number of feats you have active, so this will help players get more tier 3 level rewards and beyond. Bungie confirmed that pending test validation, that will drop next Tuesday, August 5th. Otherwise, the Arms Week event went live with a mixed player response this week. I'm kind of viewing Arms Week as a layer on top of what we're already doing, as opposed to a full-blown event. It's just an opportunity to get some extra rewards. There's been feedback about the fact that Bungie will allow us to focus for legacy hand cannons, which can't be upgraded to the new tier system. If anything, it serves as a reminder that these pieces of gear are not in the new tier system. It also turns out the Fenutria Ferris hand cannon version of 1-2 punch is only about half as strong as the original version that we get on standard shotguns. It definitely contributes to the identity crisis of the spreadshot hand cannon, I would argue. Although I haven't spent a bunch of time with them just yet. What there's been more feedback about though is the Arms Week XP track. And players are wondering, how do we actually rank this thing up? Well, basically, it will require us to complete every single daily challenge that pops up on Arms Week. Some players reported that after they've completed the first 3 daily challenges, there was actually an additional one that you could scroll over to the right to view in the event home. I completed all 3 at reset, and I didn't personally see that, but I've seen numerous reports that some players have, so worth keeping an eye out on it. The other component is that as we rank up on the track, we'll earn reroll chips, which may actually be necessary to hit the maximum rank for the event because it's going to be very tight in terms of XP. The one thing I would say is that if you do earn reroll chips, be sure to complete any daily challenge that automatically shows up before you reroll it, as otherwise you're essentially doing yourself out of one of the challenges. And hopefully, if we complete every single one day over day, then also use reroll chips on completed challenges to get additional ones, of which there will be a total of 3 reroll chips that we can get from the track itself. Hopefully that will be enough, but that certainly isn't confirmed, so hopefully Bungie will say something, as it's leading to speculation that to hit max rank, purchasing a rank 4 silver will actually be required. I can't verify if that will be a thing or not. You would assume Bungie would allow us to get there via gameplay. It is pretty wild that you can just buy event ranks though with silver, as we discussed in my video yesterday. Give me your thoughts about Arms Week down below. One thing I do quite like are the new animated thumbnails for weapons, which are hollow foils. That's a pretty cool addition, but otherwise share your thoughts on the Arms Week event down below. Next up though, let's briefly talk about Renegades, which of course will be an interesting expansion Bungie are dropping in December of this year. I expect that we'll probably see quite a few system changes between Edge of Fate and Renegades, updates to the systems Bungie have introduced, which will of course be one component of that release. I'm also hoping Renegades in a way will actually have more expansion content because Bungie won't have spent as much time on sort of system reworks, but that is far from confirmed. First thing we should remind ourselves of is that Bungie will reveal more details about Renegades on September 9th, the same day as the Ash and Iron update drops for Edge of Fate, so I'm guessing there's going to be a live reveal immediately before the reset before we go into the seasonal content update that we'll get for September. And at that point, we'll be about 3 months away from Renegades actually dropping, so it isn't too long until we get a much more in-depth reveal for it, but as the game posts point out right here, a bunch of lore from Edge of Fate may be giving us tips about what we're actually going to see as part of the core story for Renegades. So, their article, Destiny 2 lore might have revealed major Renegades expansion details, including stories, characters, destination, and more. And they refer to a lore book called Treacherous Contacts that we got in Edge of Fate, made up of a series of encrypted intel reports. And they say if you piece them together, it paints a pretty clear picture that a Cabal faction on Mars are arming themselves with the help of someone with real manufacturing clout, obviously a character in the Destiny universe. And according to the messages, these Cabal have brand new weapons and not just the Red War stuff that they've had left over for all these years, and they're trading with local gangs across the location referred to as Tharsis. But they've additionally started targeting paracausal weapons, the kind that are infused with power from the light or darkness. And one of the entries says, I know the Martian Cabal isn't a sanctioned target, but mark my words, it's only a matter of time. Nobody stockpiles this much gear without hedging against Guardian interference. They'll want paracausal weapons sooner or later, and by the time we see them in the field, it'll be too late. Which I think certainly is a strong teaser that we may ultimately get involved with whatever the Cabal are doing on Mars right now. Another encrypted message indicates that the Cabal have ambushed Xur and stolen 3 specific exotic weapons, including Bad Juju, Malfeasance, and Ruinous Effigy, which of course are all weapons tied to the Hive, but they additionally stole Xur's flight records, leaving all of the strange coins, glimmer, and standard gear. And as one message notes, clearly they knew what they were after. This won't be their last attempt to secure advanced weaponry. There are additionally references to Xur's Dominion and Eternity, with a quote saying, looks like I was right about the flight records being the real target of Xur's stick-up. Intercepted comms from an unidentified Cabal ship included references to Xur's Dominion and Eternity. The message repeats 9 times, somebody's trying to make contact. So essentially, via these lore posts, there's speculation that the Cabal are being backed by somebody with knowledge of Hive magic, who may indeed be a Dredgen character of some sort, but with mention of Tharsis, threads related to this point out that's a name we only ever saw back in Destiny 1's Mars zone in Meridian Bay. I believe that references Tharsis Junction, which could indicate that Mars, if this does relate to Renegades whatsoever, may actually be the destination, which is interesting given the one piece of artwork that we've actually had for it. Obviously, it's a Star Wars themed expansion or inspired expansion, but with the sandy dunes and the kind of desert vibe, obviously we do know that Mars is probably the destination we would associate with that the most. So obviously nothing is confirmed at this point, but another thing I would point out that potentially adds extra weight to the theory about the Cabal involvement with Renegades is that if you actually look at the trailer, while it doesn't show a lot, the general architecture of the ship that these Guardians are on is similar to Cabal. Also, there appears to be a Cabal weapon with a similar model to Skyburner's Oath or something actually lying on the floor at the start of the trailer. So I think that probably adds extra weight to the suggestion that this lore is indeed teasing the story for Renegades. For today though guys, that's what we have to talk about. So again, give me any experiences you've had in the game this week, the event, power leveling and all that in the comments section. If you found today's video helpful, a rating really does help us out on the channel. But otherwise, thank you for watching and I hope you guys have an awesome day.